ITV News has heard shocking allegations that a firefighter with Tyne Fire and Rescue Service allegedly raped a woman and was promoted just days later. The alleged victim reported what had happened to police, who started an investigation. But to her horror, within days, the firefighter had been promoted. Now, his colleagues told ITV News that they had been disgusted at what happened and that he should have been suspended. And a female firefighter with Tyne described what she called a sickening nightmare of years of sexual harassment and bullying. It is the latest in our investigation into alarming claims of wrongdoing in fire services across England and Wales. And a warning, there are distressing and upsetting details in this special report from our UK editor, Paul Brand.
I thought I was safe with these kind of people, especially someone that saves lives.
This is the testimony of a woman who says she wasn't saved, but assaulted by a firefighter. An event organised by his service on Tyneside led to another at the hotel where she was staying that would ruin her life, following a night of drinking in the bar.
I remember getting into the elevator to go up to my room, and he was in the elevator. Then it turned out I was in his room and I fell asleep. I woke up and he was pulling my hair really, really hard, aggressively, and he was nearly hitting me. I started crying. My belly button ring was missing. He must have taken it out.
She feared that he'd raped her while she was sleeping.
I went over to pick up his phone and ring my sister, and he took the phone out of my hand and said, "You're not using my phone." He stood over me and I pushed him away from me, and I got out of the room and I didn't know what to do. Later, when I used the bathroom, there was blood. I didn't know where it came from. It changed me completely. I don't trust anybody anymore.
Northumbria police were called and spent 3 months investigating, but their sister service wasn't waiting for an outcome. Tyne Fire and Rescue promoted the man to management days after the alleged rape, to the disgust of other firefighters we've spoken to whose identity we're protecting.
It wasn't just me. Everybody couldn't understand how somebody could be promoted when he's actually under investigation for rape. I think he should have been suspended on the spot. It was absolutely disgraceful, and they've got serious questions to answer.
Eventually, police closed the case without charges, but there are other allegations.
How would you sum up your experience in the fire service?
A sickening nightmare, to be fair.
And a recurring one, which several firefighters at Tyne have described to us. This woman says she was sexually harassed and bullied for years.
I've had my breasts groped, and on a night out with the watch, I had my vagina groped.
Why do they think they can get away with doing that?
Well, because we're too afraid to complain. I had a screw removed from my own personal lung demand valve on my personal breathing apparatus mask.
So the mask that you wear to go into a fire?
Yes.
Was tampered with?
Yes. And I could have potentially collapsed and died in a fire. Your fire kit should also be dry. And for someone to urinate in your fire boots. I've even been left in a fire by myself, by a colleague. And when I came outside, he was standing smoking a cigarette, and they were all laughing.
When we asked Tyne Fire Service to respond to those claims, the shutters remained firmly down.
We've asked you for a full interview and you declined that.
After his office repeatedly told us he would not do an interview, we had to find the fire chief at his gym, where he said he'd just been on holiday.
I'm only able to speak about at this time. If you'd like to arrange a full interview at work, I'm happy to do that.
Thanks, have a seat. Have a seat.
So we did, a few hours later.
Chief Fire Officer, why did I have to track you down at your gym today in order to get you to answer these questions?
All I can say is I'm more than happy to be sat here speaking to you now.
Can you just explain to me why somebody being investigated by the police for an alleged rape would end up being promoted within your service?
So, we checked the timelines, and all the promotion processes were fully complete before the allegations were made and before the event took place where the allegations were made from. The person was confirmed promoted after that. As Chief Fire Officer, I don't get involved with promotions at that level.
Hang on a minute, you knew about the alleged rape, correct?
Yes.
You knew about the promotion, correct?
Yes.
That wasn't a moral dilemma for you at any point? You didn't think, this doesn't feel right in my gut?
There's many things over my time as chief which don't feel right. Sometimes I've got to make difficult decisions.
Did that feel right?
That I can't remember how exactly I felt at the time, but what I will tell you is
You know it wasn't right, Chris. You know it wasn't right.
Well, I certainly appreciate that you represent the public here. It means that certainly members of the public might disagree with my difficult decision. Look, we always keep our procedures under review, and we are going to review the procedures which led to this decision.
So you wouldn't do the same thing again?
Put with this case again, I couldn't say I would do the same thing. I couldn't say I wouldn't do the same thing. I would take advice, as I always do.
And had someone advised him not to say sorry to the alleged victim?
She's horrified that he was promoted. Will you apologise to her?
I'm more than happy to have a private conversation with the individual where I'll address all the concerns that she has, but that is going to have to be private.
You said when you announced your retirement this month, I firmly believe this is the best fire and rescue service in the country. Given everything we brought to your attention, do you still believe that?
Yes, I do.
Tonight, that raises its own questions about whether this fire service is failing to heed the warning.
Well, almost speechless. More really disturbing. This is disturbing, isn't it? What has the reaction been tonight?
Well, Tyne and Weir Fire and Rescue Service say that the investigation that we've aired tonight is not indicative of the wider culture across its service. In fact, it's carrying out an independent review of its culture at the moment. But even while we were finalising our report today, Mary, we were getting calls from 2 different firefighters within the service saying that they have also experienced similar kinds of harassment and bullying. And when we put our concerns to the former Victims Commissioner, Vera Baird, a very well-respected individual in this area, she said that the fact that a serving firefighter had been promoted whilst under investigation for rape showed breathtaking arrogance on the part of the service.
It sends out a message, particularly obviously to women, that the organisation really neither knows nor cares whether the guy's a rapist as long as he can put fires out. And that is a dreadful deterrent to any other woman to come forward with any kind of complaint against a firefighter.
Well, this is, of course, just the latest service that we've investigated. And next week, the Fire Inspectorate will put out a report. It's been looking into the culture of all fire services, partly off the back of our investigations, and will come up with some recommendations for change. But I'm not sure all fire services think they need to change, and that may well have to be the first improvement.
Yeah. Paul, thank you very much for that. And Paul's investigation into our fire services is ongoing. If you want to get in touch, the email address is investigations@itv.com.